Pat Fitzgerald is the coach no one is mentioning right now as the next big hire. A coach that's available, that is ready to get back and ready to hit the ground running.
There are a lot of college football fans out there, Hutton, right now that are praying that Pat Fitzgerald is the hire.
Here's the advantage right now of a midseason coaching change at some of these universities. Good news for those top programs is that you can actually find the right coach at the right time who may be available already. His agent says that he was repeatedly pursued by other teams, including 8 to 10 NFL clubs. There's, to me, a coach that's available, that is ready to get back and ready to hit the ground running. And I think he would be quite the hire for your program or mine. Pat Fitzgerald. Recently, as recent as August, actually, he settled the lawsuit with Northwestern for the wrongful termination lawsuit that he had. And in a statement released through Fitzgerald on August 21st, in part, it reads that for the past 2 years, I've engaged in a process of extensive fact and expert discovery, which showed what I've known and said all along, that I had no knowledge of hazing ever occurring in the Northwestern football program, and that I never directed or encouraged hazing in any way. And though I maintain Northwestern had no legal basis to terminate my employment for cause under the terms of the employment agreement, in the interest of resolving this matter, and in particular to relieve my family from the stress of ongoing litigation, Northwestern and I have agreed to a settlement, and I'm satisfied with the terms of this settlement. That's important there. And then it goes on to say this: I am proud to say I ran a world-class football program at Northwestern. I made every reasonable effort to prevent student misconduct, including any hazing misconduct, and I continue to love and have the utmost respect for Northwestern as an institution. That is part of the statement from the former Northwestern head coach. Now, here's the important part about the hazing, the racism allegations, and other things that took place 2 years ago, for which he was terminated with cause at the time from Northwestern in part. Moreover, when presented with the details of the conduct, he was incredibly upset and saddened by the negative impact this conduct had on players within the program. That's within the statement. But just before that, it says, while the litigation brought to light highly inappropriate conduct in the football program and the harm it caused, the evidence uncovered during extensive discovery did not establish that any player reported hazing to Coach Fitzgerald or that Coach Fitzgerald condoned or directed any hazing. Chad, when I read through this, and at the end of the statement from the university, it says Northwestern wishes Coach Fitzgerald the best in resuming his football career. This guy's getting back into it. He was very good at Northwestern, 17 years as head coach, over 20 years altogether. What was he, 31 when he became head coach there? He was young.
He's 50 years old right now.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this settlement makes it known he's clear of all this. And it's been 2 years of, I'm sure, hell for him during all this litigation where he could have been coaching, and now he will be.
17 years, 110 and 101 overall, 5-5 in bowl games. And people may hear that. Well, that doesn't sound all that impressive. At Northwestern, it's really impressive what he was able to accomplish there. 10 bowl games at Northwestern, a place that has been perennially a doormat in the Big Ten. He was a great coach at Northwestern. And there are a lot of college football fans out there, Hutton, right now that are praying that Pat Fitzgerald is the hire at, let's say, a Penn State, if they go that direction, because that takes your coach off the board. So if you're a Louisville fan and you're seeing Jeff Brom's name mentioned with no extension, if you're a Vanderbilt fan and you're seeing Clark Lee's name mentioned with no extension right now, you are praying that someone like Pat Fitzgerald that's currently out of the coaching game or gets that gig at Penn State or another big job.
Or he's the first name I think of if my coach bolts.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the advantage right now of a midseason coaching change at some of these universities. It's out in the open. The search officially begins. It unofficially begins anyway, but it officially begins for everyone involved here. And the good news for those top programs is that you can actually find the right coach at the right time who may be available already. You can go ahead and engage in those conversations. And, I mean, you could go ahead and make your hire. And you could do it before Thanksgiving. You know, all this talk about where Kiffin's going to be, in the college football playoff, and the whole the timetable of when he would go to the new university and the recruiting portal and all that. In essence, you could hire Fitzgerald, and he could go ahead and start putting together a staff behind the scenes. He could go ahead and prepare for the portal, get going in recruiting, get some stability in recruiting the players that are already on your roster to stay. Those things are important right now. And if you have some direction before the season even ends, or as the season officially ends, Chad, I mean, to me, the fact that the discovery process shows he's found of no wrongdoing, and while he's the head of the program and he should have known, that to me doesn't keep him away from being hired. Look around the landscape of college football right now. And here's the other thing. He's not represented by Jimmy Sexton.
That's a plus.
So, I mean, Jimmy Sexton, my guess is he represents Clark Lee. He doesn't want Clark Lee go ahead and signing an extension right now because he's adding to more leverage to the Jimmy Sexton entire client list by him not signing the extension, by him being a candidate. So you could go with a coach that's proven it, that has also battled the academic side of things. Nothing's wrong with academics at college campuses. In fact, Chad and I champion that. We haven't heard about APR in quite some time.
Nope.
They did that at Northwestern. I mean, that was a priority, just like it is at North Carolina, at Vanderbilt, other places as well. He knows the dynamic of athletics to academic. That can be a problem for some coaches. You're battling campus as much as you are battling the opponent across the sideline. He's done that and he has a ton of experience with it. And he's also loyal. Chad, I was reading.
He had a lot of people come after him at Northwestern, and he stayed.
His agent says that he was repeatedly pursued by other teams, including 8 to 10 NFL clubs, Michigan, Penn State, USC, Notre Dame. Also, his agent has connections with Green Bay, so that would make sense that would be one of them. Let's just say the guy stayed at Northwestern.
Yeah.
And now it is his university, but he stayed at Northwestern.
Well, and if we're looking at guys for this time frame, Hutton, that you're talking about, jumping into the fray, before Thanksgiving, hitting the ground running, working on the recruits in your class, working on other things, Pat Fitzgerald, James Franklin, who we know is talking to Virginia Tech right now, John Gruden would be the other one that's just in media that could go and be your coach right away. I look at 3 different possibilities for Pat Fitzgerald, and I put them in 3 different categories. To me, the makes the most sense move would be Penn State and Pat Fitzgerald in a marriage.
It seems like it fits.
All the history in the Big Ten, his mindset, that works well with Penn State and their fans. I think that'd make a lot of sense. The one that makes the most sense outside of that to me would be Arkansas. And no one's talking about Arkansas other than that Ryan Silverfield at Memphis may be the choice. And because he's so close by and they beat Arkansas this year and he's done very well at Memphis, that makes some sense. Hutton, the name and the school that I would say should be desperate to go after Pat Fitzgerald and would make so much sense for them, and they should be trying to sell their program to him, is Stanford. I mean, look at what he did at academically minded Northwestern in a private school. And now think about Stanford, academically minded private school. If I am Andrew Luck, I am giving the sales, and maybe they have, we don't know. I'm giving the sales pitch to, we're going to pay you. We have plenty of big money boosters. We just got a gigantic donation that's for football only.
They play East Coast.
We have been relevant in the past. We were relevant when I was here.
Yeah.
And we are going to be relevant again. And oh, by the way, we are going to be the West Coast outpost staple capital of the ACC. So we're going to be the dominant force here, and we're going to be able to compete with Miami or whatever Florida State does, or Clemson now without Dabo Swinney, possibly. All these things. I'm putting that hard sales pitch on if I'm Andrew Luck towards Pat Fitzgerald.
Now, let's also that's a great one. That's a great one. And they could be doing that.
I think he could have better options.
Well, I mean,
but I'm saying I would be selling him on the job.
Stanford could be selling that for the last year.
Yeah.
They could have been doing that since the settlement in August for Fitzgerald. Let's also keep in mind the opportunities that could come open for him with other jobs that are not open yet. Just because of the coaching carousel. Coaches are going to bounce and go to other programs. That leaves open potential, like let's say, is this the year Matt Campbell actually leaves Iowa State? I mean, that, again, I'm trying to picture where Pat Fitzgerald is going to coach. To me, it's Big Ten. To me, it's Big Ten, Big 12, ACC. You mentioned Stanford. I don't see him as a West Coast guy.
Yeah.
But, dude, I don't know if I even see him as an SEC guy. There's a fabric to him.
And see, I see Arkansas as like such a northern outpost of the SEC that it would that's the one that kind of makes sense. They went with Brett Bielema, who's very much a Big Ten guy, and it didn't work out at Arkansas. But that's where I'm making the association that maybe Pat Fitzgerald works at. He doesn't work at LSU. He doesn't work at Florida.
No,
I think he doesn't work at Auburn to me, deep south.
I
think in Arkansas, in Northwest Arkansas, that's about as close to the Midwest as you can get. And to me, there's a cultural fit there with Pat Fitzgerald.
I keep going back to this university.
Calling the Hogs. I can see Pat Fitzgerald calling the Hogs.
I keep going back to this university because I think it's open. North Carolina. I mean, they ponied up with Belichick. And if you're doing that, you have to have a rebound, right? Because you're trying to keep afloat your programs, your athletic programs. You want a guy that's, again, academic, athletic, all that stuff that they have to balance there. He's another great example of a coach that could do that. And, man, you want to talk about a 24-hour news cycle. Man, I haven't thought about the hazing situation in Northwestern in that. I mean, they took over that summer and early fall, and that was it.
Also, who really cares?
Well, Fitzgerald.
I mean, Fitzgerald cares because he got fired because of it. But also, I mean, like, nobody cares.
Yeah,
well, especially now. They cared then, I'm sure, but nobody really cares anymore about that. I mean, look, it's can you win? It's will I get resources to be able to field a roster that can compete with the best?
Right.
And can this coach be the difference in close games to get the team over the hump, to win some big games along the way, and give you a chance to compete for the tournament? To get into the tournament, if you get in the tournament, you can win it all. But can this coach compete with that with a lot of resources given to them? You know, I'm looking at some of the NIL payments. I think Indiana's like third or fourth nationally with their roster and what they're paying for Curt Cignetti's team. I mean, if there's never been a bigger example of now that everybody can pay money, and Indiana's got a gigantic alumni base and a lot of money within that program, they've got the right coach, and they said, we are going to pony up for this coach, and they're a national power automatically. Yeah. Will a Vanderbilt follow suit? Are they going to see, hey, we got a coach that's got us contending for the college football playoff. We're going to pay him top dollar, and we're going to invest in this roster top dollar. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that if they're going to go all in the way Indiana has, especially in a much more competitive SEC than what the Big Ten is right now. But it's something to think about if you're Pat Fitzgerald or any other coach. What type of support am I going to get? It's probably the top thing you think about.
This was a quote from in the Athletic from a source that's within NIL and what we're seeing across some of these contracts with coaches about specifically Indiana and Nebraska ponying up and keeping their coaches with Cignetti and Matt Rule. For them, talking about Nebraska and Indiana, for them, they may think that the juice is still worth the squeeze. Those schools couldn't afford to lose Cignetti or Rule. Think about what they're funding, and and now in this day and age of college athletics, football's funding everything, and they have to keep that funnel going. And through football, it's the college football playoff. I haven't thought about another bowl game in over a year. I mean, I haven't. No one. If you're at the bar, no one's talking about, man, what's the bowl projection?
Yeah.
No one's talking about that. We've got the college football playoff rankings that come out for the first ones that come out this evening. No, that's it. There's no other bowl games to discuss tomorrow. You know, like there's no other projections. It's either you're in or you're out. And once you're in, that's when the payday starts to roll in. So is the juice worth the squeeze? Yeah, they're saying it absolutely is based on – they're in a different conference. But in the SEC, that is the who's in and who's out. It's really the top 5 or 6 and then everyone else. Yeah,
and it's increasingly frustrating on a number of levels because I do think that there's different expectations for different programs, but if everyone's thrown into this one pot where it's either playoff or bust – I don't know how sustainable bowls are going to be. I mean, I think a bunch are going to get cut. Some of them will exist. Some of the bigger ones will. And I know for television purposes it works.
Yeah.
Because everyone's stuck at home and they want to watch live sports, so they're going to watch the games. But if I'm one of these host sites and I'm pumping in a bunch of money to it, I mean, is it worth it to me? For the sponsor, probably is, because the television eyeballs on your product. But fans aren't going to want to travel. Players aren't going to want to necessarily play in them anymore.
It's really the networks
because
that own the bowls
expectations
now.
have changed so much.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
it's ESPN that owns it.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm looking at, so Adam Rittenberg of ESPN, he ranked the available jobs in the Power Four, Hutton.
Okay.
And I want to say I completely disagree with a number of things on this list, but he has it ranked as LSU number 1, which we would always agree, or we all agree, right?
Yep.
Penn State number 2, disagree.
That's surprising.
Florida number 3.
Penn State's a different vibe.
Auburn number 4.
Yeah.
I just put Penn State behind. I think it's
You're
LSU.
talking about just true championship.
I think LSU,
pedigree.
Florida. I would flip-flop the two. LSU, Florida, Penn State, Auburn. For all the factors. And I'm talking about for every one of them. What conference you're in, NIL money, what's the rival in your state or area, difficulty of competition, job security, all of that. He's got Oklahoma State 5th, which is ahead of Virginia Tech, and I disagree with that, and Arkansas. I'd put Arkansas ahead of those two also.
So I think Arkansas and Oklahoma State are probably going after the same coach.
The problem with Arkansas is you've got an AD who's already bitching about not having money, right? That's sort of like the Jeff Landry press conference effect of now everyone thinks that LSU is a chaotic mess because the governor and the board is going to make the decision, and they're not on the same page. The board didn't even know that time. Now, they've since, with the interim AD, come back and save face and said, no, actually, here's what's happening, and everyone's on the same page now. But when you say that, if you're Arkansas's AD, immediately, if I'm a job, that's how you get Ryan Silverfield to be the guy, right, from Memphis, who would take the job.
And Oklahoma State's probably going after the same type of coach.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the program started to go downhill when T. Boone Pickens passed away.
A name that I keep hearing at
That's 2019,
Oklahoma State, Hutton, is Colin Klein, the young offensive coordinator for Texas A&M. And that's what schools are going to have to start doing. Start hiring first-time head coaches that are great coordinators with a pedigree at big programs and give them – it's going to go back to the 80s and 90s when you hire a head coach. In doing that, because resource allocation.
Colin Klein,
you don't want to break the bank immediately for a coach. You don't know if they're going to succeed or not. You give that money to the roster, pay the coach less. If the coach is great, you give them the extension.
Chad, we're going to be watching bowl games because it's football on TV, right?
I'm absolutely going to watch. As long as ESPN and YouTube TV come up with some sort of agreement, then I'll watch.
Were you watching college basketball last night because YouTube doesn't have the agreement with ESPN right now, and you were watching TNT in the CBS family, or were you watching it because it was actually opening night, tip-off night across college hoops?
Well, I watched Tennessee, and I watched it on the ESPN app. There's something really weird going on in my house where I know that I have multiple subscriptions to different things and old ones that still exist, but every TV in my home is hooked up to a different subscription. Example, I cannot watch the ESPN app in my downstairs living room or in my TV room. I can watch the ESPN app in my bedroom.
Because it's not connected to YouTube?
No, they're all connected. No, it's connected to YouTube. It's all connected to different accounts. So I have YouTube TV capabilities.
So you are paying multiple
in that
accounts.
room also. Yes, somehow, or I hope ESPN's not listening. I've somehow been grandfathered in and slipped through the cracks, right? Because I've got like an ESPN account that's on our old 1045 The Zone email address.
Oh.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Which is long gone.
Now you get what I'm saying, right? Like I don't even have that email account anymore. Because I go to it and
this is like your iPhone 9.
Yeah, it's like we have sent I'm always trying to look for the password to get on a different television.
Yeah.
And like, we have sent an updated password to chad at 1045thezone.com. And I'm like, well, I'm shit out of luck because I don't have that account anymore. I have no access to it. They took it away from me the moment we left that company.
Oh, before we left the building.
Yes. Yeah. I think before we got signed off air that day. So I don't know how, but please don't zap me, ESPN. I watched last night from my bedroom television because I could watch Monday Night Football. I watched Tennessee and Mercer, and I watched Arizona and Florida. That was a hell of a basketball game.
I actually watched the end of that game.
Hell of a basketball. Koa Pete
Oh, my God. What
absolute
a game, man.
manimal.
Baller.
This guy is just dominating people.
Great job by Bruce Pearl postgame with him.
Reminded me of watching Cameron Boozer some of that exhibition against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Both fully grown-ass men as freshmen. Incredible.
18 and dominant.
Incredible. Great game. Good atmosphere in that game. It is surreal watching college basketball in early November.
Yeah.
Like, it is not – it doesn't even feel like I'm watching what the sport will resemble in February and March.
I can deal with it.
You know what I mean? Like,
last
it's not,
night.
it's the same game, but it's not. Like,
we're
mentally, I can't get as into it.
At least we're getting Arizona, Florida last night, though, right? So I can deal with it there. I say deal with it. I'll pay attention to it. I'm not paying attention to some of these games that should be exhibition, but they're not.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I just went to the app and looked at just all the SEC scores of what people were doing. And that's what drew me to Stephen Pearl in his debut. And I go over, they're in a just war with Bethune-Cookman the whole second half. And they're, down 1, up 3, down 3, up 2, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And Bethune-Cookman takes Auburn to overtime in their first game. Stephen Pearl's first game of the season at home, at Auburn. Crazy set of events, too, that got Bethune-Cookman to overtime. Hutton, they were down 4 with 13 seconds left. Bethune-Cookman then inexplicably walks the ball up the court. Like there was like a minute and a half left. Walks it up. The bench is screaming, run, take a shot. Dude calmly steps into a 30-footer, drains it with 4 seconds left. Now it's a 1-point game. Immediate foul. Auburn hits both free throws. 3 seconds left. They have a half-court heave that Auburn fouls the shooter on.
Wow.
And the dude goes to the line with 0.5 seconds left, hits all 3 in a pressure-packed scenario, and sends it to overtime where the Fighting Steve Pearls won it by 3 points, I think, against Bethune-Cookman. Rough outing for Steve Pearl in game number 1. But, Hutton, I was into that game. Can't say that I'm really into much of anything else.
Isn't it always a rough start for Auburn or with a Pearl coach team? It always feels like there's a it takes a while to get going. If they're not fighting it out on the court, they're fighting on the plane.
Stephen Pearl, and look, this is to be expected. He's 38 years old. He's never been a head coach at anything before. He's been his dad's assistant the whole time.
Yeah.
He looked on the sideline like a guy who's trying to figure out how to walk and talk like a head coach.
Yeah, like it's set in.
He's got a Sharpie in his ear the whole game, which I'm not a big fan of.
I think he did that. Is that just what he's like, the Matt Patricia of hoops?
He's got a Sharpie in his ear the entire game, and he would just randomly get the crowd into it when they're down 2. That's what he does as an assistant. He's used to being the hype man to the crowd. He's just gesturing to the crowd the whole time and not yelling at the court. I think it'll get better for Steve Pearl than last night, but they almost took one on the chin to Bethune-Cookman, who was 0-60 against ranked competition and 0-42 against the SEC. Before last night, and almost beat a ranked Auburn team on the road in game number 1.
We did see
another sign, though, too, not to trust November basketball too much with any of these teams.
No, I mean, especially with Auburn.
None of these teams are going to resemble what they are right now come February 15th.
Tim Brando will join us coming up right here on Hot Mic.
Football's finally back. So's the hard-hitting gridiron action on Prize Picks. Download Prize Picks and use code OutKick and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
6th and Peabody, our location with Yeehaw Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. It's Hot Mic, Huddy Withrow here at OutKick.com. Tim Brando, back on the program. Yes,
here we go.
Well, gentlemen.
Good to see you. Hope things are well.
Yeah, everything's fine. That's kind of a lazy fall, right? Not a lot going on.
Yeah. Nothing at all happening right now.
What used to be, what is now immediate is coaching changes. If you're making a coaching change in college football. Trying to get out in front of it, you're trying to figure out what you want to do, get things in order. And it's not even colleges with stability. I mean, we're seeing universities without a president or an AD now firing coaches. It's chaotic, but it's also it's the world of college football now.
Yeah, and sadly, it happens all too often where we shift away from the field. We're not really talking about what's going down. We are on the first day of the quote unquote standings coming out from the committee, which, by the way, is farcical in and of itself. We shouldn't have these standings printed or talked about on national media until, in my opinion, the last 2 weeks. I mean, who cares? Yeah, I guess maybe Dr. Pepper or whoever's advertising for ESPN, they need all the money they can get right now, I'm sure. So they have to have a show tonight. But but I would love to talk about the games, the teams, and the season. But we
Yeah.
just can't get out of our own way with regard to the issues that are taking place off the field, which are affecting now the leadership on the field. And um, it is incredible. We have to pay attention to it. Yes, and it does take center stage. We can't bury the lead. The lead is what in the hell is going on, and it's just chaotic at all turns. And I got a real kick out of last week with regard to what happened with LSU because literally, I don't know. You guys follow me, so maybe you
Yes.
know, but literally on social media. My buddies Rob Stone, Mark Ingram, and Urban Meyer do a podcast called Triple Option,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard Urban bemoaning this notion about, gee, the governor is involved in Louisiana, and I've never really heard of that before. and I thought to myself, Urban is probably the closest to my age that's on this podcast, but I couldn't believe that he didn't realize, how Louisiana's history really was run as a football program through the governor's mansion and has been since the Depression. When Huey Long, did he not see all the King's Men with Broderick Crawford playing Willie Stark? Did he not know? I guess not. He was focused on football. Chaos and football and Louisiana politics have run hand in glove since I was born. And if you ever took Louisiana history, you were certainly aware of it all the way through. I also got a kick out of the Florida fans jumping down, trolling me over. Oh, sounds pretty toxic to me, Timmy B. Well, when it comes to college football, toxicity and college football have always gone together. 40 plus years ago, I was down there as a Cub reporter when former Governor John McKiffin was throwing a filibuster trying to hold on to Jerry Stovall. When Bob Broadhead, the then athletic director who worked for Joe Robbie, was trying to get Bill Arnsparger in to become head football coach in 1982. I was 26 years old. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was from the state, but I got a real lesson in the way the state runs. And it's been that way since the beginning. So this is not unusual for us. It's not unusual for Louisiana. Have I been embarrassed sometimes by the public bloodlettings that we continue to have in our state with regard to these kinds of stories where politics and sports always comes together? Yeah, sometimes, yeah. But at the same time, we are who we are, and we can't change the culture, and we can't change history. A lot of history in my state I'd like to get rid of, a lot of it. But at the same time, I got to tell you, this is business as usual,
Yeah.
for us in Louisiana. It really is.
Hey, what is another sign of this new era of college football? On the flip side of the firings are the extensions, not just at the Blue Bloods, but Indiana, Nebraska's now ponied up, SMU, what's going to happen at Ole Miss or Missouri or Vanderbilt, the money and being allocated from the non-traditional football powerhouses.
Right.
You're either in or you're out now. And a lot of these programs are going to be put to the test this offseason because even if I don't think Clark Lee wants to leave, but he's got to play the game.
Right.
He's represented by Jimmy Sexton. So Vanderbilt's about to pony up.
Yeah, I don't think Kenny Dillingham wants to leave, but he's going to have to listen.
Yeah.
I don't believe, and I really do believe, even though Lane Kiffin historically has always thought about what's next, chasing rainbows. If you watch the documentary that ESPN did, if you are in and around the Oxford area and about his son Knox and about his daughter and what happened the last time he had the notion to leave when Hugh Freeze was hired at Auburn, I think it'd be very hard for him to leave. And Keith Carter, the athletic director at Ole Miss, has, in my view, every bit, the Brinks armored truck that any of the other schools have that have ponied up. whether it's Indiana or whether it's, you name the school that's going to be able to pony up. The money is there. And the donors are the ones that are jumping up. They're telling you the value of college football in their locales. And having a first-time opportunity at domination that Curt Cignetti has given to Indiana is just one example of it. And that's one of the reasons why I believe that Lane is going to stay put. I do. And why would you go if you understand what just happened to Brian Kelly? If you understand that there's no athletic director now, and there's so much that's not taken care of down in Baton Rouge that's a roll of the dice, regardless of how much money you make. And listen, if he just gets to the playoff, okay, and I think the road for him might even be easier, not having to play in the SEC title game, but getting in the playoff and getting a home game. Wow. Mm-hmm. How big would that be? They'd begin erecting the statue in Oxford right away, because there's nothing that Johnny Vaught even accomplished that would be on the same plane as Lane Kiffin in the modern era of college football. So, you're right. And I think that's going to be what we see, fellas, is that, the brand names want these guys, feel they're owed these guys, but this is not the time for brand names to always get what they want. And the other schools have shown and have indicated to people that not only can we compete, but we can get better players than you're getting. As long as Lane stays in Oxford, they're not going to have any problem getting players. Period. End of story.
What about Pat Fitzgerald? We talked about this in the first segment. Guy, I know you've called his games in the past.
Yeah.
17 years at Northwestern.
Yeah. Great guy.
Is this the type of coach that is available right now that some of these big programs, maybe a Penn State, should keep their eye on?
Oh, absolutely. And I'd also say Jimbo Fisher. I think there's some tread left on his tires. I do. And I think that there are some people out there that are in the decision-making position that would say, yeah, you know what? Let's see. How many active coaches can say they've got a national championship? Let's go back and take a look at how he had to navigate through the circumstances at Florida State with Jameis Winston, the Jameis Winston of that time. Okay. There was a lot going on. Revisionist history would have you think that a guy in Jimbo's position just went through what he went through, leaving Florida State and going to A&M and not delivering any better than Brian Kelly did for LSU. But if you go back and look at what he did do, and there was turmoil, as you know, because Bobby Bowden didn't want to go when he had to go, and Jimbo was going through some issues personally at that time. Okay, big time issues personally. And yet he navigated through all that and managed to get them a national championship. Oh, how Florida State would yearn for that opportunity again. So, but Fitzgerald, my goodness, Chad, you're absolutely right. If anyone could be a big winner out of all of this, it's a guy like Fitzgerald, who really did have to do more with less. And now, no matter what job he might get, it's going to be more with more. Yeah. Because the playing field has been so leveled out. And the fans just can't figure this out. They have not yet figured out that Indiana is able to do what they're able to do because Curt Cignetti is kicking ass and taking names. And he had a built-in advantage because he could bring a group of winners from James Madison, okay, a core group of people. Why is it taking so long for Belichick? Why is Deion struggling right now in Colorado? I was just there. They're a far cry from what they were a year ago. The Jackson State guys that he brought with him are gone. Well, now he's got to reload. And he clearly made a mistake in the portal on Caden Salter that they're paying for now. Each year is going to be a new referendum on whether guys can put it together. But the foundation for what Cignetti did was based on really an entire program of success at the, might I say, fly in the ointment FCS level. He brought in a group of winners, and now he's able to recruit off that. And he doesn't make mistakes in talent evaluation. I told you at the beginning of the season, Mendoza was a step up from Rourke, who was the player of the year in the Big Ten a year ago. And Mendoza has been exactly that. He throws a pick on the opening series against Maryland. He didn't waver. He just came right back in after his defense held him to just 3 and proceeded to do what he does every week.
The great Tim Brando with us. You were just there in Boulder. Is Deion the coach next year? There's rumblings that health and everything that you talked to him.
He's got health issues, but he's going to stay, and he's going to be. I talked also to Rick George while I was there. Listen, it is a calling for him. I know. Listen, he's polarizing. I get it. A lot of people are taking great pride in the fact that they're struggling because they just don't like him, and he knows that. I think part of what makes Deion pretty special is that no matter how poorly a player is playing, he will take all the heat. He knows that he's the buffer. Now, what has to happen, I think, and he indicated this yesterday in a pretty candid way, that he's got to juggle his staff a little bit. He's got to do some things with his coaching staff to rectify some of the issues. I don't know that includes Pat Shurmur necessarily, because I know he has a lot of I know he has a lot of faith in Pat and what he's trying to do. He's got a really young defensive coordinator that he put in a spot that he's not been in before, Robert Livingston, who I think is also going to be a really good coach. Whether he's ready to call those defenses now, that's up for debate. But I think maybe making some changes within the staff and also the direction that they're going in their player evaluation is something that's very important to him moving forward. He does view it as a calling, fellas. And remember this notion that there were even rumblings before these last 2 games. Hey, Deion might get one of those SEC jobs. You remember hearing that a few weeks ago? That was going on a few weeks ago. And now he looks like that the program is in complete disarray. I don't think that it is. I think he understands why they're where they are, and he will take the steps to repair it. But in the Big 12, you're going to get exposed really quickly if you don't have a quarterback. If you're trying to coach around the quarterback situation, which is what they were doing, okay, it wasn't working. But they were paying the kid, so they kept playing it. Julian Lewis, who is a highly thought of, celebrated recruit, if he didn't play now and he's going to play in the rest of the season, then he knew he was probably going to lose him to the portal. That young man's got a future, but he still has to go and get the right experienced hand to come in. Because look, you might get to your second or third quarterback. Ask Matt Rule. They win that game if Raiola doesn't get hurt. And now they got to go with Latif, who's a completely different quarterback. He can thank heavens that he has a coordinator like Dana Holgorsen, because he's got to change that offense around before I get out to Los Angeles. That's our game this week, is UCLA and Nebraska. A couple of big-time storylines to cover. But Nebraska would have won that game against UCLA, in my view, had Raiola stayed healthy. He did not.
Sometimes longevity is a great thing for a program, continuity. Other times it runs its course. Is that happening right now at Clemson with Dabo? Chad and I may be reading too much into this, but every time he's at a press conference, he's referencing either being fired or the fans want him out. Go ahead and try to take this job and coach it if you can. You're welcome to interview. Every time there's a little tongue-in-cheek mention of this, it tells me it's always on his mind.
Sounds like a guy trying to will it into existence that he get another chance somewhere else at the end of the season.
He's okay with that, creating that smoke, it seems like.
Yeah. I listen, again, full disclosure. I like Dabo.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew him when he played, covered him as a walk-on at Alabama when they upset Alabama in that national title game for Gene Stallings. But I think to some extent, because of staff, because of some decisions he's made. He lost. They've not been the same since Venables left on defense. They've not been the same since they lost that core offensive crew that they had. And he used several different offensive coordinators, but the ones that were most successful are no longer with him. He is a CEO approach coach and a guy that is a motivator, and you still have to have guys that are doing the grunt work from an X's and O's standpoint. And I think to some extent, the media has been on him because he does, whether he knows it or not. I think sometimes you can be your own worst enemy when you like to think of yourself as being candid with the media. And I think the way it's playing out now for Dabo is when he does this in these press conferences, it's almost as if the storyline that he's making it all about himself is coming to fruition, even without him realizing that that's what he's doing. I think he's unaware of how some of this is playing out. part of why he's in this position was what? He was reticent. He did not want to go into the modern day of college football. That's one of the reasons Mike Norvell had an undefeated season a couple of years ago. Clemson wasn't in the portal. They weren't doing anything in the portal. And so he got behind on that. And being behind meant you were going to make some mistakes in it. And he did. So, yeah, I think that, to me, that's a domino. People keep asking, what's the domino? Is Lane Kiffin going to be the domino? I really don't think so. I think Lane stays put. The domino will be which program, goes and gets Dabo Swinney. And one of them will, because he's an active coach with multiple national championships, okay? And ADs love to spend other people's money, whether it's on players, like LSU did, to the tune of $23 million, or on coaches, like they have with these huge buyouts. So, yeah, I think Dabo is going to wind up with a different job, and he'll be the domino. Once he leaves Clemson, now the ball starts rolling. That's my prediction.
One more for you, because I love this.
I like that prediction.
One more for you, because Chad and I love whenever you're pissed off for greatness. So tonight we have the college football playoff rankings unveiled. You have your own. You have your own top group of teams that you release and you put out. Who do you have like in your top 5 right now?
Well, Indiana's got to be, in my opinion, number one.
Okay,
and it may shock some people when they are number one, and if I'm wrong, then that just means the committee's not doing its job. Because up until this point, you tell me who's got a better win on the road in the country than Indiana. And then let's measure what Ohio State has beaten, who they've beaten. Is Ohio State pound for pound the best team? I picked them to win it all at the beginning of the year. Sure they are. They absolutely are. But after you go to Indiana, or Ohio State, we can debate whether one or two. It really doesn't matter. When you get past that, I don't think there's any question that you look at where they are as a program and where the rest of college football is. 3, 4, 5, to me, begins to make some pretty good sense. You got to go A&M, and to my way of thinking, you got to move Ole Miss up. Alabama, to this point, is probably in a position where some might think that they would vault over A&M. How you can figure that other than on brand name, I have no idea.
Right.
But Marcel Reed, to my way of thinking, has got to be the leader in the clubhouse for the Heisman. That win at Notre Dame should count for something. And then I think when you get past those teams, Oregon is that other team. So Oregon's got to be a top 5 team. Even with that loss to Indiana, Oregon has answered the bell. They started all this chaos when they beat Penn State the way they did. And yeah, they got their clocks cleaned in the aftermath of that by Indiana. But that's the other team, in my opinion, that's got to be there. The Southeastern, here's what's happening, guys, and you'll see it. The genie got let out of the bottle, courtesy Heather Dinich, earlier in the week. I saw her say that I believe that this was her opinion now. She says, I believe the first college football standings from the committee, the first CFP, will mirror the AP poll. It'll look very much like the AP poll. And I believe that the metrics that we use here at ESPN will be followed.
Oh my
They'll
gosh.
be looked. Yeah. Oh yeah. She said these things. I mean, that's almost like the Democratic senator that said what she did about, this is the only way we can have leverage by having this work stoppage against Donald Trump. It was almost like just letting the genie right out of the bottle. 3 worst words in college football today. Allstate Playoff Predictor. Allstate Playoff Predictor. 3 worst words in college football. Why? Because everybody's in. We're all in. We can only pick 12. We don't have the luxury of having 16. And already you're hearing it. I'm hearing commentators on ESPN right now. Well, I see 5 or 6 SEC teams getting in. Okay, this is all about retribution. Alabama was left out. SMU got in. By God, they're going to get 5, maybe 6 SEC teams come hell or high water. So just get ready. If you're in any one of those other conferences, and the ACC just screwed itself, right, after what happened last week.
Cool.
So that opens the door. Okay, let's just unlock the door for the jailbreak for all SEC teams to get in. The hope for the Big 12 here is for BYU and Texas Tech to have a rematch so that they can play it again, Sam. And if that were to happen and each were to hold serve, obviously somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose when they play, right? And then after that, if they were to play again, then those two teams could get in. But if Utah slid in instead and one of those two teams goes south, then you could only have one Big 12 team. Hey, ACC, we don't have to worry about them. We just have to take one. Big 12, they screwed themselves. Only have to take one. Let's get another Southeastern Conference team in there. Let's do that.
9-3 teams. Come on aboard now. Now you're in the mix also. Yep, you're not.
I'm just telling you.
Get a home game.
I'm just telling you. That's exactly what's going to happen. Now, to my way of thinking, you watch. They'll have Alabama jump A&M, even though Bama has a loss. Why? Brand. And A&M will continue to win. They may eventually get ahead of them, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if Alabama, and you're hearing some of their pundits right now, I'm not really sure, but Alabama might be ahead of Texas A&M, blah. I mean, it's just, it's so pathetic, and it's unending, and we need to get to 16, and we need what Tony Petitti's been talking about for a while, fellas, and I absolutely agree with him. Earned positions. When you hear automatic qualifiers, you go, I don't like that. But in the end, wouldn't you rather have it taken care of on the field? I would. I absolutely would. So when they go to 16, there might be a little bit more clarity because we will see, I think, some of what he's got in mind put into play so that we have more games involving teams that are vying for spots out of those conferences to get in. I know a lot of the fans want to debate that. A lot of pundits want to debate that. But if you want to just continue to hear from the worldwide leader how this committee is going to go, then we know who's in charge, who's the puppeteer, who is making sure that these teams get in. And the chaos that's out there and the other conferences screaming wolf, they'll be accurate, and they need to scream wolf because it's fundamentally wrong. Now, by 2031 or 2, when we get new television rights, the ACC may be gone. Then we can go to super conferences and things will begin to shake itself out. But I'm going to just tell you right now, I don't think that there's any question that if they can get minimum of 5, but even 6 into this 12-team field, I would not be shocked whatsoever.
And have no doubt, teams 12 through 16 tonight will include Texas, Oklahoma, Notre Dame. I have everybody right there on the verge of getting in.
Yeah.
For TV purposes.
And Dinich already said, the problem right now is that you can't put Texas. You can put Texas and Oklahoma in, but they could be left out.
Sure.
What a crime that would be.
Right.
Because you got to put Memphis in. You got to put another conference champion in. Oh my God. She's right. We need to just turn this into the SEC Invitational again.
We need,
There he is. There's pissed off for greatness.
We need Teddy
right
Roosevelt
there.
and some trust busting to go on to where one network doesn't influence all of a sport.
Yeah,
and I'm seeing that now as a YouTube TV subscriber that, man, oh man, it takes away from my Saturday experience when they have the entire conference and the SEC are playing these wars every week that are dominating the ratings. And that's where you see how they control the playoff with all of that too and that power.
Chad, I normally get random texts from some buddies of mine in the SEC. A lot of times it's on Friday nights because there are fewer games to watch, so they're going to be watching the game on Fox that I might be doing. Mm-hmm. But Saturday, I'm doing this blowout win for Arizona. Colorado's just playing a terrible game. And I'm getting these texts from my friends in the SEC saying, well, Tim, I really tried to watch you, but your game is lousy. There's nothing. I can't watch my SEC game, so I'm watching you. You sound okay, but man, this game is a snoozer. I'm tuning out. But here's what they're counting on. Okay, ESPN is counting. Not the NFL doesn't care that the Cowboys and Cardinals didn't have much of an audience. Fans are going to find those games no matter what. Okay, that's the NFL thing. They are hoping. And they're going to say, what if we get 6? Let's just stockpile SEC teams in that baby in the playoff. And now they can't see their games. They're going to be, in the end, both corporations are at fault here, okay?
Oh, yeah.
It's not just ESPN. the carrier, the provider, has to take some heat too. So Google, Yahoo, Google and YouTube have to take their hits too. Okay, but in the end, who wins? Probably the content creator.
Yeah.
They're going to keep pounding it and pounding it and pounding it, so that in the end, those SEC games get back on. But they're counting on SEC fans to threaten to burn houses down if they don't get the almighty Southeastern Conference back on YouTube as quickly as possible. It's not NFL fans that can help them. It's SEC fans. And why? Because it just means more. It means more.
Well
even
said,
though
Tim.
even though more is a 3-syllable word, it means more. Down here. More down here.
More.
Hey,
more of this. More of this is what they want all the time. More of this.
Where are you headed this weekend?
I get to take Devin and Josh for the first time to the Rose Bowl.
Oh, that's right.
I get to see UCLA and Nebraska. But I feel so badly for Nebraska, but it'll be interesting to see because they've still got a lot to play for. They could have been one of those teams out of the Big Ten that could have made a move, but they're not now. And we'll see if Latif can find a way to run the football. He's a good runner, but they're going to have to change the offense. And UCLA story is pretty compelling, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. 9 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Pacific on Big Fox.
And I'm not telling you anything. I'm not telling you anything you don't
on.
know, Tim. But Latif, a Compton native, right, coming back
Yeah.
home to LA for this game, his first start as a true freshman. Yeah,
and I get to go to the Keith Jackson bathroom. Oh boy,
You're looking live.
They did rename but I gotta give props to Kirk because it's his press box now. He broke Keith's record for Rose Bowls. So I just walk right by Kirk and wave to him and say, "Go get him, big fella. Get all the teams you need in that playoff."
Enjoy it. I look forward to tuning in for sure on Big Fox because I'm a YouTube TV subscriber, Tim. So Chad and I both we can get
so
you.
there you go.
We get Timmy B though.
I watch you regardless, Tim, but I'll never watch you more than right now as a YouTube TV subscriber. I'm all in. I'm all in on the Tim Brando game.
Yep.
And while I'm calling that game, I'll give you as many updates as I possibly can on what's going on in those games you cannot see. Because after all, it is Big Fox. We're not a cable outfit. We're a real over-the-air network. We have to operate in the public interest, and that is, of course, of public interest.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well done.
I need
Well
that.
done.
I need that.
We'll see
I
you.
need that Auburn Vandy update immediately once that game goes final. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
You got it. Take care, fellas.
The man, Tim Brando. Love whenever he's able to join us here
best.
on the show. We are just days away from the most patriotic award show on television. It's the Fox Nation Patriot Awards, and we have a huge announcement to share with all of you. The First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, will be joining Sean Hannity live on stage this Thursday to receive the Patriot of the Year award. It's the same award presented to President Donald Trump just last year. It's going to be our biggest Patriot Award show yet, packed with special guests, surprise performances, brand new awards, and so much more. There are limited tickets available, so go get them now. FoxNation.com/Patriot Awards. FoxNation.com/Patriot Awards. We hope to see you there. You can also watch live this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively at FoxNation.com. You're not going to want to miss it. Chad, fun show today.
America, baby. Yes.
That's right. America.
We love college
America.
football. Love the Patriot Awards.
Tomorrow, primary complaint, plus we've got the college football playoff standings that will be, and beer rankings, beer sales rankings.
Yeah, beer revenue at colleges. And
there we go.
Here's a tease for that. It's time to give the Midwest their flowers.
Okay.
Get ready for this.
Tap the keg. Strike up the band. Hit us up on YouTube at OutKick Hot Mic. Catch you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern.